On the fog-shrouded outskirts of a forgotten village, stood a dilapidated mansion known to the locals as the house on Eldridge Lane. For years, it had been abandoned, its windows shattered, its walls overrun with creeping ivy. But the house was more than just an eyesore, it was a source of terror, steeped in dark lore and whispered fears. Legend had it that the mansion was cursed, haunted by the spirits of its previous inhabitants who had vanished under mysterious circumstances one frigid winter night. No one who had entered the house since had emerged sane, if at all. Curious by nature and driven by a love for the occult, Amelia Thorne decided to investigate the house with her two friends, Mark, a skeptic, and Sarah, a sensitive with a knack for sensing the supernatural. They arrived at dusk, just as the last rays of sun surrendered to the encroaching shadows. The front door creaked open with a ghostly wail, revealing a darkened interior that smelled of mold and decay. As they stepped inside, the temperature dropped sharply, their breath visible in the dim light of their flashlights. Mark scoffed at the theatrics, but Sarah looked uneasy. Amelia led the way, her heart pounding in both fear and excitement. They moved room to room, finding little more than dust-covered furniture and cobwebs, until they reached the basement door. It was sealed with heavy chains, a rusted padlock hanging ominously. Determined, Amelia picked the lock. As the door swung open, a putrid scent wafted from below, and a low, almost imperceptible whisper seemed to drift up the stairs. They descended into the darkness, their flashlights cutting through the thick air. The basement was vast, much larger than the house above suggested. As they moved further in, Sarah suddenly stopped, her eyes wide with terror. She pointed to a shadow in the corner, growing and contorting into a human-like figure. "We need to leave," she whispered urgently, her voice trembling. Mark started to argue, but then they all heard it, a soft, rhythmic chanting that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The shadow advanced, eyes glowing a sickly yellow. Panic set in, they turned to flee but found their path blocked by another apparition, this one more solid, its face twisted in agony. Amelia fumbled for her pendant, a talisman for protection, and raised it high. The figures recoiled, and for a moment, the chanting ceased. "Go! Now," she screamed. They bolted up the stairs, tripping and stumbling in their haste. The house seemed to pulse with anger, doors slamming shut in their wake. They burst outside just as the door slammed behind them, locking with a finality that echoed in the silence. Trembling, they vowed never to return. As they looked back one last time, eerie lights flickered in the windows, and a chilling howl rose from within, ensuring the legend of the house on Eldridge Lane would endure.